Wade in the water, wade in the water, children.
We reveal
Wade
stories about freedom's
in the
heroes from the era of the
water.
Underground Railroad to
God's
contemporary
gonna
times,
trouble the
challenging and inspiring
water.
everyone to
The
take courageous
Jordan
steps for freedom
stream is dark
today.
and cold. God's gonna trouble the water. It chills my body, but not my soul. God's gonna trouble the water. Come on and wade in the water. Wade in the water, children, wade in the water. God's gonna trouble the water.
In the years preceding the American Civil War, the Free States became the focal point of social, ethical, and cultural diversity. Within the border areas, many instances of clashes between ideologies emerged in the form of court cases or protest, violence most often culminating in death or imprisonment. Cincinnati, Ohio can easily be called the epicenter of freedom, founded along the northern banks of the Ohio River, just opposing the slave state of Kentucky. Cincinnati, the region surrounding it, has a rich documented history in regards of abolitionism and the Underground Railroad. What we see today is a very chaotic history of choices based on the elusive moral character of the time. The struggles that Cincinnati faced were struggles of the region, the state, and the nation during an uncertain period.
We're sitting here in New Richmond, which is in Claremont County. We're 20 miles east of the city of Cincinnati along the Ohio River. Claremont County boasts 19 documented Underground Railroad sites under the Network to Freedom program of the National Park Service. That's more than any county in the country, and we're quite proud of that fact. But in the 19th century, New Richmond was the largest and most prosperous village in all of Claremont County. At one time, the founders of the village hoped to rival Cincinnati as far as a center of commerce. From its earliest days, New Richmond had a free black community and presence, and that community prospered here in New Richmond. It was, for the most part, an integrated community. There weren't any segregated sections, and out of that community came educational institutions, specifically the Claremont Academy, just up the road from New Richmond, about a mile away, was open from 1839 for blacks, whites, and men and women. So there was an infrastructure here that supported the black community and allowed it to prosper, where in other parts of the country it was not so much the case, particularly here on the borderline between free and slave state. The church that we're sitting in now is the Cranston Presbyterian Church, which was established in 1821. From very early on, the church took a very vocal stance against slavery. And in 1836, they issued a letter to the Cincinnati Presbytery professing their stance against slavery and going to the point where they would refuse communion to any person who either professed approval of the institution of slavery or, of course, if they actually owned slaves. So the church here became a sounding board, a place where a number of very active abolitionists of the day preached. The Rankins preached here, both John and Alexander. Calvin Stowe, the husband of Harriet Beecher Stowe, preached here. Harriet's brother, George, also preached here. Reverend Rankin from Ripley, after the Civil War, was the pastor here for at least 2 years in his later years. There's a site in New Richmond that's been preserved that is representative and tells us of the prosperity and existence of our African American community. Just on the outskirts of town here are two traditional African American cemeteries. Their names are Citizens and Sumerian Cemetery. Now, the history of these cemeteries has only recently, within the past 20 years, really been brought to light by some of our local historians. Buried within these two cemeteries are 23 African American Union Civil War veterans. Also buried there is one of the original Buffalo soldiers from the 9th U.S. Cavalry, which was established in 1867 and fought in the Indian Wars.
The Heritage Series, presented by the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center, urges you to take an active role in the discovery of your past by visiting this community. Here, you can walk along the northern banks of the Ohio River, visit historic sites preserved, tour many of the associated locations, and hear the untold stories of freedom. New Richmond offers casual dining as well as amenities. Will you take courageous steps for freedom today?